morning, beauties. I hope all is well. I'm back here today for another car walkthrough. We're going to be going through this 2008 Audi R8. It's a V8, it's manual. It's really special to me for a whole bunch of different reasons. We'll go through that in a bit. This is also the car that I'm going to be driving for the winter this year. It's all-wheel drive, so that's perfect. And I also have a special guest coming up.
Surprise, motherfucker.
I said before, this thing's really special to me, and there's one very big reason. This was my very first supercar. I had a 2014. It was Suzuka Gray. It was also V8, and it was also manual, just like this one. This is an 09, also V8, also manual. So now that I have one back in my life, it's really, really exciting because I get to drive it, and this was one of those cars that I had always missed and regretted selling. It's kind of exciting. Something else that's exciting is, of course, this is Lucas's car, and I have him to talk to you about it.
I'm the special guest today. My brother and I purchased the car together almost a year ago. Actually, over a year ago now. So 14, 15 months ago. Steph actually probably has more miles behind one of these. This one actually doesn't get driven that much, only in the winter time, which we have winter tires on it. So we'll give you guys like a full kind of walkthrough of the car and any kind of funny stories or weird, unique things about this one specifically.
It's got a few of those things.
Yeah, unlike Steph's, it's this one is probably not as in great condition as Stephanie's was. As you guys probably have seen from the LP 560 review, I am very hard on the vehicles that I have. So, and this one also has a checkered past. Pretty
checkered past. So let's talk a bit about the wheels. Let's talk about the other wheels too.
Oh yeah, so you guys will see. So yeah, basically this is on winners. These are, first off, I'm terrible with cars, so I know how to drive them and ruin them. I'm not a mechanic, so. So these are 18-inch, is that right?
That is right.
Okay, perfect. These are 18-inch Audi rims they have winter tires on them, obviously, you can see that. These actually were stanced in like really, really far, and the rims and tires that this came with were actually Vossens, and they were on 20s, and they looked amazing. They were like the sickest rims, I think, for this car. The problem was, last year, actually, maybe 2 or 3 months after we purchased the R8, I was driving downtown Kingston, and Kingston is like, as Steph's found out, the worst roads ever.
What season was this, babe?
Oh yeah, it was winter time.
And what kind of tires were they?
They were summer tires. So they were like super low profile, and I hit I don't even know what I hit. I just got back to the office one day, and I don't know if it was even Arda or somebody from our team was like, bro, your rim's cracked. And I was like, what do you mean my rim's cracked? And so I went out and like, there's like cracked rims and then there's like cracked rims.
Oh, I wish we had it to show.
We'll throw up some photos.
Yeah, we'll find some photos. It's really funny.
It was horrible. So I called around, like all the shops around Toronto, like Leprechaun, whatever. All of them said that they couldn't fix it. It was that bad because it was actually right where the bead was, like where it mounts to. So then Steph has a friend, and you can tell them how that story worked out.
So I was like, I'll get this handled. We've got to figure this out. We've got to find another rim. So I made a couple of phone calls. My friend Zuki at JRP, who I've known since I was a teenager, and he's amazing. Did a couple of phone calls, made a few phone calls, found one left in the entire world of the exact same spec that we needed. It wasn't the right color, but we're going to powder coat it anyway. But we found the absolute last one, so we didn't have to buy a whole new set, which is really exciting.
The last one. And it took me like 2 to 3 months, and Jake trying to find, we'd ordered, it got canceled. We ordered from another shop, it got canceled. Oh, it's out of stock, it's custom order. So we couldn't find it. We were just going to buy all new rims. So it saved us a ton of money, and he got expedited. As people know, I'm really bad with taking care of my cars. So we expedited it like 2 months ago. It's still not on the car, and now we're just gonna wait until the spring. So that is the story with the Vossen. So next year in the spring, they'll be on 20s, and they'll be powder coated black. So we're just gonna powder coat everything. It's gonna look really cool.
It'll be fresh and perfect again.
This car does have a bit of a checkered past. It had a right side collision. You won't be able to see anything with the damage now, but there are some remnants of it, like if you really got into it. But it also meant that this car was a fantastic deal, and I think it's one of the best value supercars that you can buy. Like, and again, supercar is like kind of like, I don't know, it's a supercar.
It's a borderline supercar.
It's like a baby supercar.
It is, yeah, it's a supercar. It's like an entry-level supercar, and I think that's why it was the first one that I chose, because it was a stepping stone to get into this crazier stuff, because the maintenance on this thing is so much less than going with the V10 anything.
Yeah,
so true. It's just a really reasonable, really all-around reliable
Yeah, like
Supercar.
you can get into this for less than like a new Silverado, which is
Fair,
crazy.
yeah.
And people see this and it's still like, it's crazy to think that this car is coming up on 15 years old and like this design, and it still looks super relevant and modern. Basically, so when we got the car, it was pretty much as it sits now. Like it was wrapped, it's originally a white car. The other cool thing that it has that obviously, was this factory? These mirrors?
Yeah, the factories and the side blade was an option. It was an upgrade option. So this one actually came with it, which is really cool.
Cool.
So
yeah, so obviously carbon fiber. With the blade, I much prefer the carbon fiber. And funny story about actually when we purchased this, it's gonna sound kind of ridiculous, but so basically what happened last year was Jake and I had, for the longest time, have always loved the R8. We always thought they were really, really cool. And we always browsed Kijiji for stuff that's like kind of outside of what our budgets were at the time, but we'd always be browsing and I'd always know what's on like Kijiji or Marketplace or whatever. We were actually headed to Montreal to get a watch. Jake's first watch, like first like kind of real watch. He was going to buy a Tudor. And on our way there, I always just browse Marketplace or like Kijiji anytime we go on a long drive. Found that this car was actually for sale like 20 minutes from where we were going to buy this watch. So I messaged the guy, I was like, what are the odds? It was pretty late at night. I was like, what are the odds if we just message him and we just go see the car? It would be cool to like think about like getting into a supercar, like, and just kind of being around it, like get in the mindset and like at least go see them and pretend that you're gonna be there to buy one, right? The guy messaged back right away and he's like, yeah, you can come check out the car. I'm not gonna be home, but it's in my driveway and you're more than welcome to drive by and see it. As soon as we pulled up to it, we were like, first off, it was a really great price. So we were like kind of skeptical that it was just gonna be like totally beat to shit. But we pulled up and when it was sitting on the Vossens, we were like, if it drives and even turns on, we're gonna figure out how to buy this car. Because it was so sick. Like this thing at nighttime, and like back then we were like, this is absolutely insane that we could even be like considering something like this. We ended up taking it just for a drive around the block. It drove great, like everything shifted through the gears and everything. There was a couple little things that were like issues, which we'll get into as we go through the car. But overall, like it was a great car. And the guy that was selling it was super reputable. He has a great shop in Montreal. We gave him a deposit that day, and then the next day we went back up and actually picked it up. It was ours.
Did you even buy the watch?
Oh, so we did buy the watch. Yeah, yeah. So Jake bought the watch and
a car.
And a car on the same day, which is hilarious.
So this wasn't planned at all.
No, we were not planning.
Like you guys weren't planning to start buying supercars that day, that month, that whatever.
No, not at all. And then we realized, so this was right in the middle of like COVID too. So like the prices for cars, it was right before everything like went way up. So like what we got this for, like it was actually stupid. Like there's people buying like Kias and Mazdas basically for more than this, or Hondas. So it was nuts. It was too good of a deal. And what's crazy is people ask like, is a first gen R8 worth it today? Or like, are these cars worth it? Are they depreciating assets? At the end of the day, this car is actually worth more, even in the current state with all the miles we put on it, all the abuse we put on it, it's still worth a considerable amount more than we paid for it a year and a bit ago.
Big reason why I regretted selling mine too.
Yeah.
They don't make manual anymore.
Exactly. So I view this car is going to continue to appreciate, which is why we don't mind putting miles on it. We drive obviously the shit out of all of our cars. At the end of the day, they are increasing. So buying this, you're going to actually lose less money than buying like a new 3 Series BMW, which is insane.
Yeah, it's true though.
So
it's wild. And it's a heck of a lot more fun.
And a heck of a lot more fun. So coming around the back here, obviously it's rear engine now. I really don't know like car shit. Like Steph, you probably know more.
I'll like jump in if there's anything I can add to it.
Jump in.
Yeah.
What in the hell?
How many horsepower, Steph?
Oh, actually, I have no idea.
420. I do know that one. So this is 420, I believe. Don't fact check me on that. But I think it is. And it's the V8.
Do you know what engine this came from? Or what engine this is?
An S5.
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 There's a few different models, but yeah, the S5 was one of the last ones, and it's one of the most reliable Audi motors at the time, which is why a lot of people were so inclined to buy one of these things, is because they knew that you can beat the piss out of them, and for a car that was that expensive at the time, that it was going to be reliable, which is pretty cool.
So you're telling me if I just had to do an engine replacement, we could just take an S5 engine and drop it in here?
Almost.
Really?
Not really.
Oh.
It's a slightly more tuned S5 engine, but it's an S5 engine for all intensive purposes, which is pretty cool.
Sick. So this car is actually not that fast. And funny story, like actually it happens a lot of the time. Somebody will come up beside and be like, oh my gosh, that car must be so fast. And Jake and I, because we drive a lot of really fast cars that are not this one, are like, yeah, I mean, it's not that fast. And then we realize and we catch ourselves and we're like, oh shit, like to the general public, this car is fast as and it is actually like, I don't know, it is a very quick car. Like
it is, yeah, for what it is. I mean, especially for as heavy as it is too, because it is a pretty heavy car. It moves how it's supposed to, but yeah, it's compared to your supercars as you know it is very underpowered in comparison. It is also just a V8 naturally aspirated, so there's no turbos. Most supercars now that have a V8 engine are all turbocharged or supercharged, so for this to be just a naturally aspirated motor, it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
What makes this as cool as it is definitely the manual transmission. If
Right.
it didn't have that, I think it'd be a different experience for sure.
But other than that, this car is pretty much stock for the most part. We did I straight pipe everything, so as soon as I get it, the exhaust disappears. So we did a straight pipe exhaust on this, but it sucked because you'll probably see some B-roller now. There's a huge hole right here. The guy that installed, I know who it was, but that installed the actual like pipe, where the exit is, he didn't angle it enough to come through the actual tips here. So there's it's melted a huge hole in the bumper, which sucks. It's something to consider if you drive this car in the winter. A funny story is last year, we actually had this car out and I'd left it for like a couple nights and it was like -40 here. Well, what happened was the battery died, something was draining. All right, so the R8 battery is completely dead. And unfortunately, the manual pull tab that we have inside on the passenger side, which is located down here, is not working. So the hood is locked. So luckily it's manual, and we're gonna try to tow and jump it. Just like that. Yeah, it's only -30. The latch for the hood wouldn't open, so we were completely locked out of the car, but luckily it was a manual and we could jump start it. There's no tow hook, first of all, so we couldn't tow it from the front. And the way that it was positioned, it was parked forwards in. So anyways, we towed it down the road in reverse, trying to get it to pop and actually jump start. And it finally did jump start, and every light that you could imagine was on this car.
She was not happy.
It was not happy.
She is crying.
But if that wasn't the case, if we didn't have the manual version, without the hood being able to open, there's no mount point for any of the electrical, so you can't get a booster on it, and you would actually you would have had to cut or remove latches. Like you would have to lift the car and cut underneath the basin out of the front of the car. Luckily it was manual and we were okay. Oh yeah, there is some mods done to this car. So you'll notice that it's sitting pretty low. When it's on the 20s, it actually sits like, the stance is amazing. I think it looks amazing on the 20s. But this is on BC Racing coilovers, which is like an entry-level option for coilovers. There's no front lift in this generation of the R8. Is there a lift in other generations?
I think the newer ones have the option, like the V10 Plus is like the current models. I believe they do.
Obviously makes the car ride a little bit different and it looks sick. The other thing that we did is EXO Shield, and this car's actually been used in a ton of EXO Shield's videos, as has the LP560 for a lot of their promo. I think this is right around when EXO Shield was becoming like a big thing. So this EXO Shield is an absolute, especially in like Canadian winters when there's sand and salt and gravel and shit all over the roads. This thing is probably.
I don't know why I didn't.
For those of you guys that don't know what EXO Shield is, it is basically a paint protection film or a glass protection film for the windshield, and it helps repel and prevent stone chips. It's like crystal clear. It's actually really cool. We do it on literally all of our cars because we drive so much and we're always with a crew of people, and with the tires that we run, we're always shooting rocks at each other.
Who threw the rock, bro? Be honest. Who was it?
but also for the winter, it's huge. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So it protects your windshield. These things are not cheap. The Lambo ones are even more expensive, but all of these windshields, because just the shape of them and just because of the brand and stuff, they're exorbitantly expensive.
Jesse, it was free.
Oh yeah, Jesse.
And Cadeau. Cadeau, actually on both cars, it was free. There was no charge. Cost of ownership on this has been unbelievably inexpensive, knock on wood, with the exception of a couple of oil changes, which I have actually done on time, on schedule. But yeah, these cars are actually very reasonable to maintain. This is like the perfect car base kind of start platform to do a crazy build on. So like if we wanted to twin turbo this, I wouldn't feel bad about ripping this car apart.
Volkswagen.
Just because we got it for so cheap, and even if we ate up all the equity in like cost of upgrades and whatever else we do to it, it's still going to be a sick car that you couldn't replace that for, you know, some of the newer supercars. You'll have a better performing vehicle for like half the price.
Do we want to talk about the interior?
I could show you the interior. So one thing that is somewhat disappointing about this and all the like Audi, Lamborghini stuff around this era is this key is a Jetta key. Huh? So the key that you get is so boring, and if you owned a Volkswagen Golf or a Jetta from this era, this is what you're getting. It's kind of boring.
It is. Well, the Lambo key, the Gallardo is just like that as well. It's almost, it is the same key, where it's just a slightly different shape, but it's the same key. And the Huracan is actually like the same key that you would find in like a 2014 S4.
Oh yeah.
And it's a 19. So yeah.
It is kind of.
It's kind of weird. It's like you would expect them to do something cool with the key, but they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So interior-wise for the R8 is obviously the coolest thing in here is the gated 6-speed. This is so much different than just a normal manual driving car. If you guys have ever driven a gated, you'll know what I mean. It is like, if you could reference it to anything, it's like a bolt action rifle. So the way it like clicks and engages is very like, there's like positive response there.
The only thing I really, really hate about this manual, and I love manuals, are my favorite thing ever, is the fact that this actual, like the actual shifter is freezing cold all the time. And I'm always cold as it is, but that thing, it's like the worst shift knob ever for a winter driving car.
Yeah. But other than that, the interior is like pretty, I mean, you get decent features, I guess. There's like Alcantara seats. Yeah. Is that what these are?
Yeah, Alcantara roof liner.
Alcantara roof.
It's all leather.
Yeah, all leather. Everything's pretty nice. I mean,
yeah, the trim is beautiful.
This head unit is absolutely atrocious, and this one, one of the reasons this car was the price that it was, it had little things that were issues. Like this head unit doesn't really work. Like it works sometimes, and then other times it doesn't. So there's a wiring issue there somewhere. The windshield washer fluid.
Oh my God, the windshield
pump,
washer.
There's a line that's been cut in here somewhere. We can't find it. So a buddy of ours installed like a toggle switch underneath here, which actually actuates the windshield wipers. And I think that we should just continue anytime something breaks in this car to just do like these ghetto like Frankenstein rods on it. So when the steering wheels goes out, we'll put like some old bicycle thing or something on there. That would be awesome.
I'm so stressed out.
Yeah, Steph hates that. But like this stuff, you'll notice super floppy and loose. Like this is not
Volkswagen.
But again, overall, this car drives great. We put probably 15 to 16,000 kilometers on it. Really cool mod that Steph and Jake just did today.
Oh my God.
This A-pillar fell down and this whole piece was like pulled off. And so my solution was gonna be just to rip this one off over here and rip all the rest of the headliner out. But they decided that was a bad idea. So they actually took a drill and just screwed this back together.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so that's interior.
All right guys, so that's it. That was pretty much the full rundown of our R8 / the Supercar Mom winter car this season. Hope you guys enjoyed.
So, as always, we can't leave you guys without a cold start. A little preview of what our neighbors hear every single morning when we leave the house at 6 a.m.
Only way up for me. Moving out the purges, I get time if it